item I3, 23-60, considering approving Resolution 2360, authorizing expenditure of budgeted funds for Inspira Enterprises to conduct an information technology security assessment and develop an IT security strategy and roadmap. Take appropriate action. Jason, come on down.
All right. So, Mayor and Council, this is something that we added for consideration for the fiscal year 24 budget, and that was approved, a couple of weeks ago. So we had gone out to, we'd reached out to several different vendors. We received quotes from 5 of them to look basically an independent, impartial assessment of our network security, cyber defense capabilities as part of our effort to assess and improve organizational cyber resilience and preparedness. Those 5 quotes are in the packet if you do want to look through them. Tonight we're recommending moving forward with Inspira. Their quote looked the most well-rounded for us. Got penetration testing, analysis.
And they're based in Westlake, right?
I'm sorry?
They're based in Westlake? They
are based in Westlake. And their quote, and it's about a 5-week program. The assessment comes out to about $25,000, 50% due at signing, and final 50% due at the delivery of their final report. And they've got a presentation for you guys tonight where they'll go through what their plans are for that. But do you have any questions for me before they do that?
No. Yeah. Any questions? No. Not from us.
Okay.
Mayor, before they get started, I would like to say they've been a pleasure to work with, and I just would like to thank their team for everything that they've put into this. They met with the staff, with Jason and I, on several occasions, getting a very good understanding of what we were looking for, and really their bid coming back and their project was probably best in line with everything that we were wanting to do, because it was a full look at all of our practices and all of our cybersecurity setup, everything from policy to the type of equipment that we purchased. So it was really a great opportunity to meet with this very professional team of Inspire, and it's great to know that their home here is in Westlake and that we're going to be able to partner with a great vendor.
Thank you very much, Wade, and thank you, Jason, for the opportunity to speak today. I also want to thank you, the mayor, and the entire council team here. And my name is Tim Sandoval, and I am managing director with Inspira. Behind me is my extended team, our CEO, Amit Gondry, and our solutions architect, Ashok Kakani. And we're very excited for the opportunity to be a partner with the city here. As you guys may know, we recently, moved our offices here in the last 12 months to Westlake. We are a 14-year standing company, a global firm that is focused strictly on cybersecurity. It's a topic that my leaders and I are very passionate about, and my background goes 24 years in the space. I come from a largely consultative side of Big Four, serving clients of all sizes. And my leader and I are very passionate about, obviously, the city, the community, and doing good work for areas that need the biggest help. So today we like to present this assessment. This assessment is really rooted at what we would consider an IT security audit. It's grounded in several things. The goal here is to spend time and really dig into understanding the landscape of the city, understanding the technology compute that exists across the different paradigms that exist here, that being the IT department as a whole. That includes everything from policies to security procedures to all the things that are tied to security operations. The second thing we want to focus on is looking at the schools, the academy, all the technology, infrastructure, everything from what it takes to really provide the protections associated with our students and our administration. The other 2 areas are around, the services that are tied to the municipalities, that being public service, the public works, and all the different departments that serve the community. There are technologies, there are infrastructure aspects of it that we're going to take a very holistic approach to serving and building a couple of things. One, we want to focus on looking at it from a very industry standard approach to security. That means when you look at what is comprised of things from IT to resiliency to the operations and everything that is required to really be in place to secure an organization, a city. Out of that, we also want to make sure that there's enough, rationalization of, are we doing what we need to do to truly have the things in place in terms of procedurals, for protections, and as well as ultimately we want to end to a state where we can look across all the capabilities, we can look across where we stand today, and where we need it to be in the future. And that means there are a set of things that we will end up producing. That would be an audit report, a set of findings in terms of gaps, and a set of roadmap and recommendations by way of what the city can look at. And we're going to be very explicit on that. There'll be 3 or 4 priority things that will be loaded with a set of prescribed steps and also some budgetary estimations in terms of areas that the city can take forward to further increase the maturity within the organization. That's part 1. Part 2 is really what we want to organize as part of a technical scan. Wade talked about things that we do. We have providers that exist today that do a variety of things, and that includes like security operations, vulnerability management. We're going to take a more of a holistic, non-biased view of what protections, how do the bad actors actually see our city today, right? We're going to take a penetration test approach. We're going to do some, call it intelligence-driven insights in terms of things that we can see that are not very obvious. And I mean, that means like scouring the dark web. That means looking at different, profiles or threat vectors that are really areas that can be used to compromise the city. So I haven't actually prescribed that here because the whole idea is when I get started, I want to be able to kind of walk around the whole city, walk around the campuses, and do the things that are needed to exploit and also look at it in a way that the city can actually come back and say, okay, this is something we should be concerned about, or actually, hey, we're actually doing a pretty good job in these areas, but how about we look at the ones that we may not be totally aware of today. So at a high level, I would describe it as the IT audit that has a very technical security assessment piece to it, and then a roadmap that could be used and published and obviously presented to the council group at the end of 5 weeks. The deliverables would be produced in the form of a PowerPoint and working papers that are substantiating all the findings that we have in terms of reports. And then lastly, this is something that we talked about. I think we're targeting maybe like in the December timeframe where we can actually present the findings to the group here. So at a high level, in Spirit, we've been around, as I mentioned, 12 years. We've got practitioners all over the country, and my leaders and I, we're very passionate about really leaning in on the city of Westlake to help really take this area of responsibility forward. I'll pause there for questions.
Any questions?
No, I don't think. Actually, let me ask just 1 or 2 very quick questions. In terms of deliverables, depending on what you come back with, obviously it has to fit within some budgetary expectations for the town. I assume you'll help sort of prioritize those things that we should be focusing on, and perhaps allowing us to kind of push some of the less critical issues further back if necessary.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so during the 5 weeks, we're going to be very iterative in terms of what we're finding. My goal is to present the findings throughout the process. And so if there's something that is in dire need of being addressed, we're going to talk about that soon and early.
Okay.
And then in terms of prioritization, we'll go through that together. And I'm not going to say, hey, this is what Tim and Amit and Ashok think. It's actually something that takes into account the city, the priorities, and all the imperatives that you already have set forth.
One more question. I know that an audit's really this snapshot in time, right? And things are changing. Do you think there's an expectation we should be doing an audit annually, or assuming that there's a closer working relationship? Does the nature of your involvement with the town allow you to kind of see things on the fly going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and typically you don't want to go more than about 3 years before you do an audit, but what typical organizations do, and even in the public and municipality state, is that they'll at least do a full-blown, let's say 200 controls that they actually are part of frameworks like security frameworks or NIST, if you will. And then on the subsequent year, they'll take a third of those controls and do a refresh on that.
Gotcha.
And we'll know exactly the areas of greatest concern based off of the gaps. And so I wouldn't recommend doing a full-blown every year, but you can do spot incremental checks throughout.
Okay. Great.
Just to follow up on David's, do you risk rate these findings?
Yes.
Okay, so it will be glaring if there's a serious issue.
Absolutely. Very much in a heat map standpoint, we call that criticality and severity level. We'll work through that explicitly with the city.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
All right, a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, let's move on to I-4, Resolution 2355, considering approving Resolution 2055, authorizing town manager to renew network security licensing software services maintenance support for 1 year for a total amount of $74,491.50, allowing continuity of service to Westlake Academy students, staff, as well as municipal staff and citizens and stakeholders.
All right, so this is similar to what we talked about last time I was here about the firewalls, basically, our network security appliances. When we talked last time, you guys wanted to move forward with renewing what we have instead of purchasing something new, so that's what's before you today. Current licensing does
Jason,
expire.
can I ask you one question? Just on your comment. So I think the question was, we understand there's a time frame, end of November, you need to have something in place. Either it's a renewal of what we have or move forward with something else. Question is, in light of our hiring of Inspira to come and help work with us to assess the cybersecurity needs, can they potentially come in and help make this decision in the next, I don't know if one could speak to a time frame, if they could expedite this component, but could that help you then make the decision, or us make the decision which direction you'd like to go?
I think at this point, if we did want to purchase something new, we would not have it in place by November 30th.
Okay.
That's we'd want to have something on site, be able to test it, make sure it's doing what we need it to do. It's not something we just open the box, throw it on the rack, turn it on, and we're good to go.
Okay, because we'd have
it requires weeks of.
We had about
through
7
it.
weeks, I think,
Right.
between now and then.
Would it be ridiculous to do like a 3-month extension or a 6-month extension?
We could look into that.
I don't
buy
know if you want to
something.
speak to something, but I just thought I'd throw that out just while we're sort of on this topic.
Okay. I don't know if monthly is an option. Honestly,
Jason,
I would
can you
have
speak to
reach
the
out.
process a little bit so we have a better understanding? I think that's part of the issue. When we buy a new set of servers, what does the process look like to put those into place and to bring those up to speed?
Yeah, for the firewalls, it would be something that with we still have issues with supplying or the supply chain. So I think I was told last month when we looked at this, we were looking at about a 3 or 4 week delivery. That's not terrible, but that gives us about 3 or 4 weeks to have them in place, and it's something that we'd want to install, run side by side with what we have now, just to make sure there's no issues, no dead on arrival things, make sure we get it configured correctly. There's a lot of configuration stuff that happens on this, just to make sure they're in place and doing what we need them to do. They don't come ready to go out of the box.
Is there a major risk that we're undertaking by extending for a year versus extending for a couple of months? I mean, we talked about at the last meeting that the average lifespan for these was about 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, end of life on these could be up to 7 years, but we were just with the advances in the technology that this particular vendor's had over the past few years, we'd get some cost savings on the back end. Basically, what we have now, we had to buy more higher end because of the traffic we have at the academy. It's kind of basically a 3000 series. We were able to buy like a 1000 series because this year's 1000 series beats the 3000 series from 4 years ago. So there's some cost savings down the road on that on renewals, and it's faster than what we have now. Our firewalls scan millions of events per month. That's not just what's happening in this building or at the fire station. It's mostly because of the school.
Right.
when you bring that in. So the hurry on this was it's a new fiscal year. We didn't budget it last year, and then it expires on November 30th. And these things do stop working on November 30th.
Well,
they don't stop at 11:59 on November 30th. They stop at 12:01 a.m. And
well, I guess
that
just
happens.
Just to my point, I mean, obviously this falls within the cybersecurity domain, and my understanding is that this would potentially feature in the audit assessment. And given that as soon as Wade decides to execute the contract, I mean, Inspira starts, right? And so I guess my question is, would you want them to prioritize this? I don't know how quickly, theoretically, the group could look at this, but would you want them to come in immediately, and then so we could get a better decision for you to help you move in a different direction, just in case this is not what we want for the next 12 months?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Would that make sense?
Yeah, Tim, would you mind coming up? I know we're putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
again.
I
I'm sorry about that.
apologize for the.
And I know you have other work that's scheduled and all that kind of stuff, but we're really just needing to look, like you said, we're under kind of a gun for the time frame for the renewing our service agreement for these firewalls or purchasing new. We know that really we're down to the point where we can't purchase new. It's going to have to be a renewal. So the question is, do we renew for a year, or do we renew for a couple of months and purchase new, or come back to council and purchase new at a later date?
Yeah, so my two quick comments. One is we are prepared and stand ready to start the project within the next, I guess, week or week and a half at the latest. And given the priorities of what we need to do, we can certainly front load the network, the infrastructure, security part of it, and then kind of go to the other parts of it, like the controls and the policy parts of it later. And this will allow us to quickly find, areas of gaps, if any, areas of at least, alignment with, is it operating as the way we would expect? And then we can have an opinion so that the team can go forward with an extension or maybe a different direction. So I think we can be confident to have a point of view on this by early November. So Jason, based off of, the timing of what it would take to get to your vendor, we could work hand in glove together to get to an answer quick.
So early November, our next council meeting is scheduled for November 6th. And it's the only meeting that month. So that would put us on a pretty hard deadline of November 6th.
Can we theoretically
We've gotta have
renew
that
November
done.
6th, or did we have to give them more notice?
I think we should be able to renew November 6th, November 7th,
Okay.
with approval on the 6th.
Okay.
Is it the same thing with Arctic Wolf, too?
I mean, I will just ask the same question, but you may feel Arctic Wolf's a better, comfort level going forward. But same question. I know you have the 15 October deadline, I think, on that one.
Yes.
So is your preference just to move ahead? Just
With Arctic Wolf?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then I assume your comfort level, the company, it's a big group, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's
So,
okay.
Jason, what's your recommendation here? This vendor?
I think at this point, the recommendation is to renew what we have.
Thank you.
So with this one, we'll come back to you on the 6th.
On November 6th, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll come back November 6th on this one, and then on I-5.
Go ahead and approve it.
Right, Resolution 2361, can I get a motion to approve?
I will make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or all opposed? No opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Oh, do you want to do the Zoom? Yeah.
And then Resolution 2365, concerning approving expenditure of budget funds in the amount of $23,837.69 for Zoom meeting and telephone service and licensing.
All right, so this is the Zoom contract. It's up for renewal now, and it's just renewing the services we have. We actually have 171 licenses for phones. Majority of those, 123 over at the school, and we've got 34 here at the town and 14 at the fire department. That's not just phones. That's also panic buttons, things like that. Integrations into our PA system at the school. Those all have to have licensing now. So we did have 60 meetings licenses over the last year, and we've reduced that down to 25, and those are lined out there to help cover some of the increased costs that we saw over the summer with adding some more rooms and some more staff at the school. So we had about 15 additional licenses on that, so we reduced the meetings licenses to help cover that. So we actually ended up, we'd budgeted $24,600, and we're coming in about $762 less.
Right. Any questions on this?
No, I just want to remind council, I think the issue that was brought up last time was about the ability to record conversations, and that was addressed in here.
Yes.
I think there's a policy update, and then I think, if I'm correct, Jason, you also disabled that ability with the installation?
On the phone system.
Yeah,
yes.
so I just wanted to draw attention to that.
Okay, that's good. So any other issues? Concerns, questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve 23-65? Made first?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No opposed? Motion carries. All right, 23-64, consider approving resolution 2364, approving a bid with control specialist and take appropriate action. Kyle Flanagan.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Kyle Flanagan couldn't be with us tonight. He had another engagement, so I'll be taking this one for Public Works. It looks like about 30 days ago we lost our first meter. So you're required to meter all water coming in and out of the town every single day, including weekends and holidays. And our first meter, we lost it about a month ago. We were relying on the second meter in order to get those numbers done, combined with utilizing a flow meter that's from Fort Worth on the wholesale side. And just this last week, we lost or 2 weeks ago, we lost our second meter. So now we don't have any meter on our side to be able to monitor the amount of water that comes in from Fort Worth. The major issue with that is twofold. One is obviously it's a TCEQ requirement that we have to be able to report on this on an annual basis. But the second problem is that our wholesale vendor, City of Fort Worth, requires that we keep under a certain amount of usage per day on our water usage, right, as part of our wholesale plan, and we have some penalties when we go above that. Without these meters in place, the butterfly valve doesn't operate correctly, so we have to operate it manually, which is creating us to have to go out and fill those water tanks up all at once, which is causing us to go over our daily limit on water usage. But there's just no other way to get that done because we can't butterfly the valve at a specific percentage or amount. So if you read through your packet, you'll see that we got 3 bids on all 3 different types of meters from several different companies. And the one that you have before you is the cheapest and the one that's recommended by the City of Fort Worth as well to work with their systems.
Wade, you mentioned in the staff report about an ILA with Roanoke I think it was just to read the meters. I assume that's an unrelated matter with respect to these actually failing.
It is, and it's not. So we had that ILA in place when I first came in. That was one of the first things that we did because we didn't have the personnel to get out there and read the meters manually. Okay. Even though, we've got 2 now in Public Works, but we've got a ways to go to be full. So we still needed them on weekends and holidays, so we were still utilizing them on weekends and holidays. These new meters actually talk to our SCADA system, and we can read those remotely, so that would do away with the need to have any expense from Roanoke to coming in and reading those meters for us on weekends and holidays.
So, but you still, just so I understand, so the ILA was just to actually go out and read the meter, but what you're saying is the meters themselves have actually failed, so they have to be replaced anyway? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. So the meters themselves have failed.
Gotcha. And so is there an offsetting expense with if I assume the ILA will be terminated?
Well, the ILA isn't on an as-needed basis, so we would probably leave that in place, leave the ILA in place, but it would significantly lower any costs that we have on a monthly basis.
Okay. Do you know just how much that would potentially
offset? No, sir. I'd have to pull all, and their bills are itemized specifically. It'd take us a few minutes to get through that.
No, it's no problem.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All opposed? No opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to the top here real quick. Resolution 2341, considering approving Resolution 2341, approving 2024 Town Council and Board Trustees calendar and take appropriate action. Any questions on this?
Just one of just procedure. I guess I mean, the dates look fine, but in reality, if council wanted to move them for some reason, I assume we have that flexibility.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
So, all right.
But how is that flexibility on a majority vote?
Yeah.
Okay, check.
Yeah.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, next is 23-66, considering approving Resolution 2366, approving town financial policies, purchasing authority policy, prohibited activity policy, and contract authority policy, and procurement policy, and take appropriate action.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me back. A special thank you for Mayor Pro Tem going through the additional work of redlining based on a lot of the feedback and comments that we got at the last meeting. A couple of things that I just wanted to make a particular note about that based on the feedback, and you can see this all in the red line documents that were attached in the packets, we did put in some language in the financial policies around budgeting for people. So that will be a change going forward where we are having more council control or board control whenever it comes to shrinking or growing our organization chart in general. And then on the purchasing authority policy, I did want to take just a moment and kind of clarify what we're talking about whenever we're talking about emergency purchases, particularly with Local Government Code 252. So the update that you have in front of you has to do with what we will define as an emergency purchase and what we're allowing. We stole language from 252, which is specific about purchasing methodology. But my understanding about the concern with an emergency purchase was more budgetary and controls and internal to us. So there is some language in there, as I said, where we're defining what we will consider an allowable emergency purchase as far as use of budget, not necessarily those exceptions to purchasing or competitive bidding purchase methodologies as outlined in Local Government 252. And then specifically, we stole the language from the first three items there where we're talking about public calamity. So Texas Municipal League, actually, they've opined that whenever we're talking about public calamity, generally speaking, we're talking tornadoes and other natural type disasters. The second one in there has to do with any kind of public health or safety issues that we would need to move quickly on. And then the third one that I added in there has to do with unforeseen damage. Just in conversations with staff, a good example of this would be something that wouldn't qualify under the natural disaster, public calamity, wouldn't really impact our public health or safety, but might impact actual operations. If we had a bus that was vandalized, we would want to be able to act quickly, not be held up so that students could go places. However, it doesn't qualify under the first two. And those were really only the major functional changes based on the red lines that we got. Everything else is more clarifying language. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
David, are you happy?
Yeah, I think the only one now that you just jogged my memory, the one about hiring new positions and pay raises, that language was left in or put in, correct?
Yes.
It's the only one I'm just trying to remember back. Everything else looked absolutely fine. It made a lot of sense. The updates to emergency procedures make sense because I think it was related to critical operations. So
Correct.
That seemed fair. So I just want to double check on the hiring and the pay raises. That's subject to council approval, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
we have
that's
that language
perfect.
in there that says including changes to pay rate and structure.
Perfect.
All right, are we good? All right, can I get a motion to approve?
I will
First.
make a motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
you.
motion carries, thanks. All right, let's go down to closed executive session, 23-256. Town council will conduct closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code annotated Chapter 551, Subchapter D for the following. Section 551.071, 2, consultation with attorney to seek advice and counsel, Trophy Club Municipal Utility Districts and Westlake Academy Affiliate Policy. Section 551.074, Alpha 1, deliberation regarding personnel matters to deliberate regarding Westlake Academy Head of School. Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to seek advice, counsel on matters to which the duty of the town manager, town attorney under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct, the State Bar of Texas, conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Builders Recovery Services, BRS litigation. It is now 6:31, closed for executive session. Thank you very much.